So this is not a good situation, and more reasons why we need school choice in Texas. Hello. Welcome to episode 66 of This Week's Economy. I'm your host, Dr. Vance Ginn, president of Ginn Economic Consulting, contributor at 15 free market think tanks across the country, and former chief economist of the White House's Office of Management and Budget. Thank you for joining me today. We're going to dive into key national and state economic issues today, including the latest insights on the state job openings, the CBO report on the dire federal fiscal situation. It just looks bad. The Louisiana passes universal school choice, and much more. Here we go. So, first thing in the news, the state-level job openings and labor turnover survey report that's put out by the Bureau of Labor Statistics for April shows job opening rates decreased in 12 states and increased in 3. So there's fewer jobs that are available than before. Higher rates rose in 4 states but fell in 2. Total separations increased in 3 states and decreased in 2. So again, this showing some weakness in the overall labor market across the economy. And it's something we've been talking about already when you look at the national economic issues and along the states. And so this is more of that evidence of what's going on there in this latest report. Texas saw minimal job openings and higher changes, so basically unchanged, reflecting a stable labor market. Florida has a notable decrease in layoffs and discharges, highlighting economic resilience, meaning more people are staying at those jobs. Remember, the red states like Texas and Florida have led in job growth since February of 2020, showing less government intervention supports economic prosperity. All states should adopt pro-growth policies that include sustainable budgeting, tax relief, and fewer barriers to work. In other news, in Louisiana, of all places, guys, Louisiana Governor Jeff Landry signs a school choice bill, a universal school choice bill. So after 4 years and 12 separate bills and legislative resolutions, the Louisiana legislature has finally passed a universal school education savings accounts program to expand K-12 educational options for Louisiana students and their families. It's the 12th such program in America. This is huge news, good news for Louisiana along the way, and all Louisianans. The program is named after the Louisiana's official state reptile, the Giving All True Opportunity to Rise, or the Gator Scholarship Program. The program is scheduled to be universal over 3 years, so it's not perfect. It's hard these days to find some of these that are perfect, but it is better than most states, including states like Texas and Tennessee, where you expect for this to happen, that haven't because they haven't passed school choice yet. So great work by the Pelican Institute on this, and so I'm excited to see what happens moving forward in Louisiana. In other news, number 3 here, latest Congressional Budget Office report, they gave an update to the budget and economic outlook for 2024 to 2034, which paints a worse fiscal picture for the federal government, meaning us, the taxpayers, having to pay for this, unfortunately. This budget outlook shows problems of slower economic growth and excessive government spending over time. So there's not a revenue problem, there's a spending problem that continues to reach record high deficits as well. In fact, deficits could be $3 trillion per year, and the national debt could be up to $51 trillion by 2034. Just a horrible situation. A simple way to correct this issue is by supporting more economic growth through pro-growth policies, including less spending, taxes, and regulations, the things that I've been talking about for a while now, along with a new spending, or not a new one, but a spending limit for the federal government. In other news, number 4, Michigan budgeting and economic ranking. Well, I've been doing work with the Mackinac Center, who does a lot of great work up in Michigan, and come out with a couple of blog posts here recently where it shows the benefits of sustainable budgeting extend beyond fiscal stability. By reducing unnecessary spending and lowering taxes, Michigan can increase disposable income for families, encourage consumer spending, and boost total economic activity. The Fraser Institute, which publishes its Economic Freedom of North America Index, evaluates how states' policies support economic growth. The index considers 3 main areas: government spending, taxes, and labor market regulations. Higher scores indicate more economic freedom, lower scores, less economic freedom. In the latest report, Michigan ranks 31st in economic freedom among the U.S. states. This ranking reflects areas where Michigan lags in supporting economic freedom and highlights opportunities for policy improvements. By addressing its economic and fiscal policy weaknesses, which it has many of those, especially here recently, Michigan can improve its rankings and create a more robust and dynamic economy. sustainable budgeting, tax reform, regulatory efficiency, along with getting back to right to work, are keys to unlocking Michigan's economic potential. This can lead to more jobs, higher wages, and improved living standards for all Michiganders. And so those are some key areas that need to look at there. In Texas, which of course is one of the states, of course, where I live, but also where it has not passed universal school choice, there was more reason to do so here recently. The Texas STAR test, which is done annually for third grade to eighth grade, the results prove the need for universal school choice. Texas students' math and science scores are plummeting, and even Democrats, though, are going to target school choice to flip Texas House seats going into November, ignoring evidence, which is here in these test results, that school choice boosts performance. And even though I have a problem with a lot of these test results, and I don't want these tests to be put on private schools and others whenever, or homeschoolers, whenever universal school choice finally passes, hopefully next year in Texas, this does give us an indication of the poor results that are happening at government schools across the state of Texas. So instead of fixing failing schools, or why not focus on fixing failing government schools instead of adding taxpayer money, which is what the whole talk of the town is in many cases and was last year during the legislative session. What they really need in Texas is universal education savings accounts to empower them overall. And there was the reporting on this was from the Texas Tribune, which said elementary and middle school struggle in math and science. Only 34% of students met or mastered grade level science on this spring STAR test scores, which is about 5.7 percentage points lower than the previous year. Math scores also dropped to where just 41% have met grade level or mastered the subject. Less than half, guys. This is poor news. And even in reading, it's only about half, 52%. If you look at mastered the subject level, it's well below that, closer to about 17% for math, about 15% for science, and less than 30%, about 25% when you look at reading. So this is not a good situation, and more reasons why we need school choice in Texas. So number 6 here in Kansas, in other news, passed bad STAR bonds but provides tax relief. I've been working with the Kansas Policy Institute to kill the STAR bond proposal that would provide $3 billion in debt paid for through sales tax revenue to potentially fund a Kansas City Chiefs stadium, which is looking at moving from Missouri across the border over to Kansas, and possibly a new Kansas City Royals stadium. You can check out my radio interview with the John Whitmer show on that. This corporate welfare is a bad deal. Unfortunately, the legislature passed it in their special session. Looks like the governor will sign it, and so this will go on. However, they also passed some good tax relief of more than $400 million by reducing the tax brackets, income tax brackets from 3 to 2. And they passed some other measures as well, but the income tax brackets were the big key one there. There was also the Social Security income tax, which they made that aren't going to be taxed anymore by the state, which also just picks winners and losers there. It reduces the base, meaning other people are going to pay higher taxes. And it also brought forward a little bit the food taxes that are going to happen, sales taxes that are set to go away in January anyway. So this continues to increase the number of states, though, that have passed tax cuts over the last few years to get flat income taxes until hopefully they reach zero. There should not be income taxes like 7 other states across the country. And so we're seeing some good movement there. In my media hits and events that have been going on, I had an article at the American Institute for Economic Research discussing the upcoming federal fiscal storm in 2025 and what should be done about it. My quote there in this piece was, "The bad policies out of D.C. have created a dire fiscal and economic situation moving into 2025. If the Trump tax cuts expire, excessive spending will continue unabated, and excessive spending will continue unabated, and corrective monetary policy will not happen. There's going to be even a worse situation across the country." So don't miss my piece there. I also had a commentary in The Hill on FDIC's toxic culture that raises an opportunity to address this toxic government schemes of excessive financial regulation across the economy from the Biden administration, and the FDIC is one of those places that's happening. I attended the James Madison Institute's Technology and Innovation Summit in Miami, Florida. Great event with valuable discussion and insights on the next steps in ensuring parents can parent their kids online. The government doesn't keep AI from helping the next revolution happen, which I really think is a big part of that, and improving education for people across the country. In interviews, I had a great podcast with former speaker Newt Gingrich. Listen to our great discussion on the economy, Trump tax cuts, inflation, sustainable budgeting, FDIC, bank regulations, and much more. He has a wealth of knowledge, and I was on his podcast called Newt's World. Got a link to that in the show notes page. Don't miss that. Other podcast news, though, on the Let People Prosper show, don't miss the latest informative Let People Prosper show episode 101 with Dr. Robert Gminer at the link below, which I have in my show notes page, where we talk about the Fed, how the Fed destroys the economy and influences our livelihoods each and every day. The upcoming episode 102 of the Let People Prosper show is with Dr. Veronique DeRougy, where she's the George Gibbs Chair in Political Economy and Senior Research Fellow at the Mercatus Center at George Mason University. We discuss fiscal policy, national conservatism, and the need to treat people like people. The quote of the week is by Milton Friedman. The great danger of the consumer is the monopoly, whether private or governmental. His most effective protection is free competition at home and free trade throughout the world. The consumer is protected from being exploited by one seller by the existence of another seller from whom he can buy and who is eager to sell to him. Alternative sources of supply protect the consumer far more effectively than all the Ralph Naders of the world. If you got to think about whenever he said this, but that's so true. We need more free trade, whether domestically or abroad. The Bible verse of the week is from 1 John 1:6. Love means doing what God has commanded us, and he has commanded us to love one another just as you heard from the beginning. So true. I hope that we can each do that with our loved ones and others that are around along the way. So thanks for tuning in to episode 66 of This Week's Economy. Please like, subscribe, and share this episode. For more insights, visit vanceginn.substack.com or vanceginn.com and get a paid subscription today at vanceginn.substack.com so you do not miss more information under the paywall and so much more. And until next time, let people prosper.